Okay, so this is Khalid's interview, and so I've debriefed it here into this sort of poor fit interview example just because of the bookie ball. Although going through this, I'm thinking I do wonder whether there's some parallels to the other interviewees. So, switching from manual note taking to this sketch note handbook. Backdrop on him. I'm not going to bore you with this because obviously you were on the interview with me, but in my mind, it's all about the shift in context. So, in school, I could handle the notes. I didn't have to learn as much. It wasn't lecture based or whatever. Right? It's a different way of learning when you move to university. And then for that whole year at university, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to keep up. I can't pay attention in class because I'm trying to write the notes. Maybe I feel like I'm missing stuff. And then ultimately, when I come to use the notes, it's when it reaches its crescendo. It's like, okay, I'll go back to those notes. But these notes don't help. They're not teaching me anything. I've got to still go back to the PowerPoints. I've got to go back to the books or the source material. And therefore, they're not acting as a revision guide that's reducing the amount of work. They're just like a pass through, and it's not done the job it was supposed to do. And then obviously, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to really learn a new way of working whilst I'm trying to revise for my exams? Absolutely not. However, finish the exams, time between semesters. At some point, there's a time trigger that goes off his head. I'd better learn a new way for the next year. And then obviously, this wasn't a massive expense on his behalf, but it was, he's looked at the cost of the course and felt that that wasn't worth it. Apologies, I've got the dog going in the background. So they're the things. But then when I look at this, so I'm taking a large volume of notes at university. So it's this shift. Old way of writing. I didn't used to write as many notes. Now I'm writing more notes. I'm trying to grasp on these notes to revise, to grapple these ideas, but it's too hard. There's too many of them. It's overwhelming. Um, I've got the time, so I'm between years at university, so there's some space in my calendar where I can fit this in. Um, now I've just gone through a period. This was hard. I don't want to have to repeat it. I've got time to focus and learn these skills, and I've got to take a lot of notes. So again, this is kind of mirroring the first one, but I think I've just got the detail in there. And then what do I want to do? Well, I want to take more efficient notes in the future. I want to make sure I've got the ability to pay more attention to the content rather than the note-taking process. Easier for me to grapple on these ideas, revise this. I don't have to, like, it's less time consuming for me to use these notes in the future. Um, Ability to draw, so I've got the capability to do this. I don't just have to scribble it down and write it. I can do this. I'm taking something that's got, that's artistic, and I'm not an artistic person. I can afford to buy this with the budget I've got today. Easy way to jog my memory of core concepts. A better way to summarise my ideas in the future. So they're the main things. Obviously he could carry on doing the thing he was going to doing. I don't think that was very likely here because there weren't many anxieties. Once it was like, yes, anybody at any skill level can do it. Oh, I can buy the book. I don't have to buy the course. I'll buy the. So the anxiety prevents him buying the course here, and I can get this sort of quickly and easily. And then some observations. Not a lot of anxiety. So he's done this. So it was more simple and fun to follow. Something easy. Now, so I've got him in quarantine at the moment, but let's talk because when you go through this one here, Ben's interview, I'm not sure if you had the chance to do it yet, but he's gone from mind maps and written notes, in his case, about the script he was doing. He's taken verbal to visual, some course that was online that he could take. And, in his piece here, he was moving from short scripts to feature length for the first time. So less notes to more notes. I've got tons of notes and I'm overwhelmed by the level and the complexity and the content. Um, you know, as I start moving through these drafts, it's more and more of a problem. I can't get my head around all these ideas. And he was going to make the final push. Now this is probably slightly different, but he was moving to, I'm going to go and I've got to get this over the line. I've got to finish my screenplay or whatever it is he was calling it. Versus I've got to make sure I finish my degree. But how do I grapple with these ideas and fit it into a way that's easier for my head to wrap it around? And this core idea here. And And so, he's gone through his notes again. So he's not revising, but he's going back to his own notes and information, and it's not communicating to him clearly enough that's helping him make the decisions he needs to make. And then, he's had a look at different note-taking tools here. I don't think Khalid mentioned any of that stuff here. But look, here, you've got, the course speaks to me. If you've got too many notes to fill, this can help you. So here, look at me doing a Sharpie drawing. I can do it in real time. I've got overhead, it's down to earth, it's relatable. There's a bunch of lessons that you can do. So there's this ability, and I think, seeing the video, Khalid mentioned he went and looked at a YouTube video. So there must be some people out there who are drawn to watching somebody draw something in real time and thinking, oh, that's not as hard as I thought it was. Anybody like me could do this. So it's not intimidating. And then he signed up, again, $100 from memory, not a lot of money for him at the time. I think he was earning money. And he's obviously a bit older than Khalid and in a job. He only got about 70% way through it. It was good enough, so he's gone back to learn that. I've learned what I needed. I'm applying what I'm learning. But he does do this. And so then if we go back to the pushes here, I've got a vast amount of notes and ideas to organise. I'm overwhelmed by them. Tick. Self-imposed deadline to use these notes and feel like I need a new way to organise them. So it's not a self-imposed one for Khalid, it's a university-driven one, but he's still got a time gun firing. I rely on written notes, but they're not helping me. So my existing way of writing notes is not working. I feel like I have to find new ways to organise notes and ideas. True. Final push to finish project. Too many notes. So all of this stuff, I'm not making full use of these things. And then distill this into more manageable ways. Learn a range of methods to write notes in real time. Yes, and that was one that Khalid had. Wasn't in real time, but it was taking notes more simply and effectively in his lectures. So slightly different, but again, similar context. Make my notes more engaging. Yep, I think that was true. Finish project more quickly and easily. So yes, finish my revision more easily. Get a grip on the information. Download a lot of content, make my way through it in my own time. Not sure whether that one came up with Khalid or not. But a simpler way for me to express my ideas. So actually, I do believe that these two are in pretty much the same job here, and we might want to move Khalid into the main interview piece here. Habits. Well, it's the same set of habits. I could just keep grunting through the old way of working. Will it help me get where I need to do? Is it teaching me a way I've got to do, or is it teaching me in my learning style? Might be the main one here. Am I getting a range of methods? So some of his anxieties are more related to his way of learning. But if we look at these two here, they may well end up in the same group. The same set of contextual forces are acting upon them, even though one's in a job and one's in school. This is an example of where a customer persona, the type of thing people say, our ideal customer is called Dave and he's a 30-year-old marketing manager who's doing X, Y, Z, and it doesn't explain why he's buying something different. Whereas if we look at the things that happen, if we can say, well, it's when their note-taking needs jump up a level, it's when their existing notes aren't working for them, it's when they're overwhelmed and they're struggling to grapple with this, and it's so I can grapple with it, so I can have grab hold of all this information, so I can get across the finish line with this big thing I'm trying to digest and tackle on now. So anyway, I'll leave it to you, but my view is that actually I think Khalid probably belongs in the research now. He may belong with Ben, who you may or may not be thinking about serving in your pieces. I know sketchnoting wasn't something you're interested in, and this may just explain why it's not. Or you might look at it and go, hey, you know what? I could easily add a sketchnoting course on the side of things and just talk to people who are struggling with notes and flip the script and say, here's a simple way of distilling an idea visually. You can use it in your lectures. It will save you time and you'll be able to come back to it in the future. So your idea of whether you want to use this or not, but based on what I'm seeing here, I think Khalid and Ben are probably going to end up in a similar group. And like I said, this is the 6th interview now. Once we get to 5 or 6, we start to hear themes. Now, that might still end up somewhere else, and we might decide that we don't want to touch this whatsoever. But I'm starting to hear not the same story, but similar themes to the story, which will hopefully help us pull this together and find you a way to sort of sell more effectively. Cheers.